What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Somehow, it's already happening. The Super Mario 3D All-Stars Collection is being marked up on eBay, despite it still not being out for about 2 weeks or so, and pre-orders maybe even still being available in your area. That's right, people are buying it, in some instances more than double the cost of it. We're gonna talk about what's going on here and why this might be happening. Also, EA, seeing some backlash. Go figure, it's EA. But they actually backpedaled and even had a response for the community after they had placed ads in a $60 game that were like almost like commercials popping up as replays were happening. Oh, and would you like to use your PSP or even your Vita with your PlayStation 5? Well, a new patent might actually be showing that. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we work towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're gonna start today with that Mario 35th anniversary direct that we just had, where they outlined all kinds of stuff, right? Sure, we had the games, right? The big collection, the All-Stars collection, but we also had some really cool things like the augmented reality cart that you could drive around the house, the Game & Watch. There was a lot of fun stuff there for everyone, but there have been rumors for quite some time that this had been delayed multiple times. Like, this was going to be announced ahead of E3, and it was going to be like their big E3 blowout with all of this Mario stuff. It looks like we may actually be finding some evidence now of that actually being a thing. You can see here Wario64 posted that the Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary website has an online challenge for Super Mario Maker 2 dated for April 2020. That'd be indicating that the Mario announcements may have been delayed by 5 months. And I can tell you now, yes, they have been delayed many times. Like, we were thinking that they might just show it off anyway in June because there's no E3, because they were working up to something like this for the anniversary. And I mean, come on. Did you expect the Mario 3D All-Stars stuff to be coming out 2 weeks after they announced it in stores? Like, there is a mad scramble behind the scenes right now in retail and all this to get this out and onto shelves. It sounds crazy when you think about that, because we always talk about, oh, 30 days, 60 days for pre-orders. How about 2 weeks? Because that's what Nintendo did there. But the real, I guess the saddest part about this, Nintendo probably would have had the craziest looking E3 booth and floor plan ever. Like, they would have had, picture it, the history of Mario. Maybe they would have brought in like all these different older systems and of course Mario games, and they would have had some really cool designs and decorations. That would have been a massive showing there at E3, but instead we got a direct that just dropped with the big All-Stars game coming out like 2 weeks later. But hey, maybe next year when there's like E3, we'll see. Could you imagine a big Zelda blowout there for that 35th anniversary? Keep that in mind. Also, CD Projekt Red is at it again, being very pro-consumer. We can see this here. Witcher 3 is coming to next-gen consoles, and it looks like if you have already purchased it, you'll just get a free upgrade. They say developed to take advantage of the most powerful gaming hardware. The next-gen edition of the game will feature a range of visual and technical improvements, including ray tracing and faster loading times across the base game, both expansions and all extra content. And they go on to say that if you already own the game on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, it'll just be a free upgrade. And I guess they'll just package a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X or Series S or just Xbox version as well to put on store shelves. It makes sense for CD Projekt Red to do that. The Witcher 3 still sells well for them. It's still a phenomenal game. It sold well for them on the Switch even. They mentioned that in their most recent investors call, and it looks like everything's good there, so why not? Bring it to next-gen platforms, do some upgrades, and even pass them along for free to current owners. Seems to work out really well. I don't know why other companies struggle with this whole thing, where CD Projekt Red's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, free upgrade for Cyberpunk, yeah, okay, yep, free upgrade for Witcher, no problem. Oh, and we of course know Crysis is supposed to benchmark PCs just by being Crysis, right? That's been its biggest thing for a while. It kind of fell off a bit because, I mean, most systems were able to run the original Crysis, Crysis 2. Crysis 3 still kind of beat up systems and was a good benchmark test, but check this out here. Crysis Remastered, of course, coming out September 18th. We saw the minimum requirements, and it wasn't too crazy or even recommended requirements, so people were a bit concerned that this wouldn't be the Crysis that you'd use to benchmark a new video card or CPU or whatnot, but looks like that's not going to be the case. You can see the tweet here says, "We want to show you for the very first time an in-game screenshot using the new Can It Run Crysis graphic mode, which is designed to demand every last bit of your hardware with unlimited settings, exclusively on PC." So this makes sense. Future-proofs Crysis as a benchmarking tool. because they'll just turn everything on, as they say, unlimited settings and just use the full capabilities of your video card, whether it's an RTX 3090 or your CPU, maybe it's got the new Ryzen chip. Yeah, this is fun. It's a cool callback, of course, to can it run Crysis mode. It's only on PCs because it's not really going to be used to play the games, just to see how well your video card holds up. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start with the Super Mario 3D All-Stars Collection. Of course, that's out in, 2 weeks, the 18th, and people are pretty excited for this. I mean, it's great value, right? 3 very good games for $60. You got Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, all of which are fairly large Mario games that you'll get a kick out of. And if you missed any of them, there you go. You can get all 3 of them in one shot. But there's one problem. At the end of March, so in 6 months, they're not gonna have it sold on the eShop anymore, and it will go out of print physically. Now, I think a lot of people would look at that and say, okay, well, maybe they're doing a limited edition physical run, they'll dress it up, they'll do all kinds of cool things, a slipcover, an art book. No, they unboxed it on the Nintendo channel, YouTube channel, and there's nothing in it other than the cartridge. I mean, they have like reverse cover art, but people were looking at the logo and it's like off center. Like, yeah, that's probably not going to sit well with a lot of people who want that logo perfectly centered. I get it, but no manual, no art book. It seems like this is just kind of a bare minimum effort, and that's what I've been saying leading up to this this reveal for this All-Stars. I didn't think they were going to put a lot into it because they already have 3 big Mario games there, and they figure that's worth the $60 as it is. But turns out might be worth more than $60 as eBay started to get flooded with pre-orders, and I kind of figured this was going to happen, to be honest, because Nintendo said it's a limited release. So immediately I feel like people think, oh, it's just going to be hard to get then, right? That's something we're still trying to figure out. How many copies will Nintendo provide for this 6-month window where we can purchase it, especially since this holiday will still be pretty hot for the Switch and people will be picking up systems as they can find them because those are still hard to find right now. So pair that with 3D All-Stars, maybe an Animal Crossing or a Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, and yeah, things are gonna be flying off the shelves. So if Nintendo just decides, you know what, we'll do 5 million physical copies. That's not gonna hold up. It will become hard to find. And that's why I think if you look on eBay right now, under sold listings, not even just like listings that are up right now, sold listings, people are buying this game currently, just pre-order tickets, for up to like $110 or $120. Now, I've gone through and there are several that are $75, $80, $90, $105. There was one that had to have been a joke, but it was up for $1,000, and they said like ultra limited edition rare, and it's just the regular Mario collection. A lot of this comes down to the concern that Nintendo won't make enough copies because they've done this before with limited releases. Think of the Super Nintendo Classic, the Nintendo Classic. I don't even want to know how hard it's going to be for me to find that Game & Watch. I feel like I would be fortunate to find that thing for $100 at that point because all the stores are going to get like 2 or 3 of them. Watch. So yes, I don't get it, but I did have people message me after I tweeted out a screenshot when I was looking through the eBay listings that in their country, pre-orders had sold out. Like you couldn't pre-order the game anymore because so many pre-orders came in. The stores were just saying, hey, we got to make sure we can even fill these first. So if we get to a point where you can't even pre-order the game anymore, yeah, those are going to jump even higher. And then, of course, when it's out of print, this will just be a rare game just because Nintendo decided it's going to be a rare game. That's really it. You can't even get it digitally. So if you happen to get one, leave it sealed and buy the digital copy. I mean, that's just, if you're a collector, there you go, right? But hey, if you're going to play it, open it up, have some fun, and check out Mario Sunshine. I mean, they put it dead center for a reason, right? Next up, let's talk about EA backpedaling on in-game monetization. Go figure. Yes, they saw some backlash over this with UFC 4. So UFC 4 released, and people were okay with it. I mean, it seems to be better for a lot of people than UFC 3. And for the most part, people are just enjoying the game, they're playing it, and then all of a sudden, during one of their replays, an ad for The Boys Season 2 comes up. That came out September 4th. By the way, great show. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's kind of annoying having to wait every week now for the next episode, but the first 3 kind of set things up pretty well. But when you're playing through UFC 4 and there is a replay, boom, an advertisement pops up that is full screen. It just covers the screen. It's not even like subtle about it. It's just like, here's an advertisement we were paid for. Take a look at it. Yes, you paid $60 for this game, but take a look at it. This blew up on Reddit. I mean, you can see the post here. It's like 90,000 upvotes on this that says EA decided to add full-on commercials in the middle of gameplay in a $60 game a month after its release. So it wasn't talked about in reviews. That's the biggest thing here, and I keep mentioning this. Look, with these live service games or games that can connect to the internet and have updates pushed, they can avoid reviews pointing this out. Like, can you imagine, like, a review could say, oh, there's this thing where they add commercials in, and it's obvious that it's not to simulate the overall TV experience. They're just selling ad space in your $60 game. That would be an issue in a review, right? Now, probably be a negative, but because they're able to push it after the review is out, it doesn't get covered. But EA saw so much backlash over this in-game commercial for UFC 4 that they had to backtrack and even make a statement. This is what they said. Earlier this week, the team turned on ad placements in EA Sports UFC 4 that appeared during the replay moments in gameplay. This type of advertising inventory is not new to the UFC franchise, though we have typically reserved displaying ads to specific main menu titles or Octagon logo placement. It is abundantly clear from your feedback that integrating ads into the replay and overlay experience is not welcome. The advertisements have been disabled by the team, and we apologize for any disruption to gameplay that players may have experienced. We realize this should have been communicated with players ahead of time, and that's on us. We want to make sure our players have the best possible experience playing EA Sports UFC 4, so ad integration in the replay and the overlay experience will not be reappearing in the future. Thank you for continued feedback on EA Sports UFC 4. Sorry, it's funny to read that because it's clear that EA, what they wanted to do was, how far can we push this? Like, we already have ads in like the bottom left corner and they're like on the Octagon, but like, could we just put a full commercial in front of them and they wouldn't even care? It turns out they could not do that without people caring. Like I said, the amount of backlash here, it was clear that people realized, wow, they really are pushing this thing, and it's very obvious. They already have microtransactions in like most of their games, right? And it's a $60 game, and now we're watching commercials in our games. They got caught with this one. They backed off a bit. Now they know where that line is right now, and trust me, they'll try some other things to see if they can make money on other ad space or other elements in the game. It's constantly changing with these live service type games because they can. So let me know what you think about having to see an ad pop up in your game that you just spent $60 on, even if it's, I guess, in front of a replay. Next up, let's talk about the UK sales charts because they do show us how boxed copies of Marvel's Avengers and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 did. I was curious how this would kind of work out, specifically if we take Tony Hawk and compare it to like Tony Hawk 5, which was the last one, and well, that was a whole thing, right? And then, of course, Marvel's Avengers, because we've had things like Spider-Man release on the PlayStation 4 in the past. Yeah, all of this stacks up and compares. So let's go, starting with the chart here in the top 10, where you can see Marvel's Avengers did take the top spot. Then we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 at number 2, NBA 2K21 at 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons dropped down from 1, but it's always in like the top 5 in the UK at 4, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 5, Minecraft, that's on the Switch, at 6. Then we have Grand Theft Auto 5, FIFA 20, Ghost of Tsushima, and PGA Tour 2K21. Now, starting with the Avengers, if we compare it to things like Tomb Raider, for example, the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the last one they did, basically sold exactly the same, so about 2% more according to GameIndustry.biz. But if we walk over to Spider-Man, it sold significantly less. It was less than a third of what Spider-Man managed to do in its debut week. Also, keep in mind, these are physical sales out of the UK, and a game like the Avengers is one that I could see skewing more digitally since it's a live service game, and they released it a few days early with the digital deluxe version. These aren't like the numbers I'm sure that they were hoping for when it comes to the physical side of things, and they're certainly underwhelming, but just keep that side in mind. There's still quite a bit of data when it comes to the digital side that we need. And while Avengers may have underachieved there a bit, it did still top the charts, but going to number 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 absolutely crushed Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 by 448% when we compare debut weeks in the UK. Now, when you see obviously other regions and the MPDs and all this, but that is a great start for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Underwhelming for Marvel's Avengers, even though it was number 1 spot. I think it will sell better in like the US, for example, and I think it'll reflect that on the MPD's charts, but I'm very happy to see Tony Hawk back. It just goes to show you if the game is good, and it's not like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, people still remember Tony Hawk, and this is a great callback to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 with some elements of 3 thrown in, and at $40, it's a very, very good deal to grab and have some fun with, and I'm still enjoying it, and I think if you're someone who's been on the fence for Tony Hawk 1 and 2, I will tell you it's worth picking up, especially if you enjoyed it back in the day on like the PlayStation 1 or maybe even the Nintendo 64. Either way, good to see Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 doing so well in sales, but let's start talking about Tony Hawk Underground now, Vicarious Visions and Activision. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a patent that may be pointing to multiple devices like the Vita or the PSP even working with the PlayStation 5. Now, patents, of course, are at times ideas that companies have, and they just want to kind of bookmark it and keep the rights to it for future use if they decide to use it. But it is interesting to see, I guess, Sony even mention the Vita, because they do. In the writing, they mention the Vita and the PSP, but you can see a graphic here that shows several devices on the right, and these are ones that would work with, say, your PlayStation 5. Now, of course, they have the PlayStation VR headset. We already know that's going to be backwards compatible with the PS5 is backwards compatible with it, so you will be able to use that, but you can also see like the DualShock 4, the Move controller, they have a keyboard, a mouse, and yeah, looks like that is a PSP, and then they also mention a Vita. Now, I had thought about this a little bit. It's possible that they could be using remote play with PlayStation 4 games that would work with the PlayStation 5, because they're showing the DualShock 4 there as well, and that is something that would work with backwards compatible PlayStation 4 games. There are PS4 games that work fine through remote play, so why not? I mean, the PS5, I'm sure, could work fine with the Vita if they wanted to, but keep in mind, remote play has been pushed to things like, cell phones now and tablets, so they kind of made the Vita unnecessary, but I still think the Vita, with its control scheme and setup with, actual buttons just right there, still makes a very good way to do remote play. So we'll see. It is a patent, but it's still something to consider going forward, that maybe some of the reveals around the PS5 go into their accessory settings and some of the different things with the UI. And oh, look, there is a way to sync up your Vita. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Zev saying, now I just need the Metroid Prime collection to be real. So here's how we can do this, all right? Next year is Metroid's 35th anniversary. Nintendo's not going to do a lot for it. Let's be honest here. It's also Zelda's 35th anniversary. Makes way more sense to go all in on that rather than try to split it up and be like, oh, it's the Metroid 35th anniversary and it's the Zelda one. You just go all Zelda. We get it, right? That's fine. Everyone will be excited. But the way you can make this work still for Metroid's 35th is you do the Prime trilogy. That would be cool. Maybe you do some sort of 2D Metroid, and then you give us that tease for Metroid Prime 4 so we can see the direction, maybe some visuals, a little bit of gameplay even, kind of thrown into a direct. You can still have a bunch of Metroid spread out throughout the year as kind of a quiet 35th anniversary. Why you have the big blowout with like Levi jeans and like Lego figures of Link and all of this, that you can still do some Metroid stuff. And I think that's the best time to really drop Metroid Prime Trilogy, is in 2021, around there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Mario 3D All-Stars collection already being marked up and sold and price gouged on eBay, even though we're still in the pre-order phase right now of just a game. Sure, it's limited because Nintendo made it limited, but it's still strange to see this already happening here. And then what do you think about EA backpedaling? Do you think they were testing the waters to see what they could get away with here with ads in front of the player base of their $60 game? Oh, and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 seems to be successful so far in the UK. What's the next step for the Tony Hawk franchise? A brand new game or another remake? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.